Yesterday was the historic congressional baseball game that has been a tradition for the body for about a century now, and it gained even more attention with a near tragedy on Wednesday when a gunman opened fire on a GOP practice for the game, leaving Representative Steve Scalise in critical condition and others injured as well. And the viral image from last night's baseball game is the Republicans and Democrats all getting together to pray on the baseball field. We're hearing a lot about unity right now in Washington, D.C., but is this real and lasting unity? Here with me now, author of Laws and Sausage. You never want to see either one get made, Brian Trascher. Brian, good to have you with us. Brian, I know you're part of a nationwide blood drive on behalf of Steve Scalise. What is the sentiment out at the blood drive? Are you feeling bipartisan support, as it seems Congress has the last couple of days?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, look, Steve's very well liked back here at home, back on both sides of the aisle. And my business partner and I got the idea to do a blood drive, and he went to his local Knights of Columbus chapter, and they reached out to a bunch of other councils around the country to try to spread the word. And, you know, folks like you have been nice enough to help us spread the message. And, you know, of course, you probably saw comments from Congressman Cedric Richmond, chairman of the Black Caucus, who's personal friends with Steve Scalise, encouraging people to do the same, and all well wishes. So for the people that know Steve, I think that the unity message is genuine. Will it last inside the Beltway? I think the media is already moving on to the Russia story now and kind of forgetting about my friend.
It does seem so, and I think that's really sad. What are Democrats who were affected? I mean, because it is different. Like, it's one thing to read the headlines on television, and even if you are a representative of the people, and even if it happened in your district, it's still not you. But these congressmen and women were there. It could have been them, and I don't care what anyone says, that feels different than reading a headline, even about something that happened in your own district. So do you see any real, I don't know, have you had any comments from Democrats or Republicans, I guess, that make you feel like there is a real sense of personalization of this event that could affect change in the long run?
Well, I'll give you an example of Steve served in the Louisiana legislature before being elected to Congress. The Speaker pro tem of our House of Representatives here in Louisiana, who happens to be a Democrat, actually organized another blood drive with bloodmobiles at the Capitol today. Today was the last day of the second special session, and a lot of folks from both sides of the aisle were getting out there and giving blood. So again, down here in his home state where he has a lot of personal relationships, yes, we have. And, you talked about that personal touch and it not affecting you until it happens to you or someone you know. I mean, we just found out today that this crazy shooter had a list of Republicans in his pocket that the police found on him, and presumably people that he was planning to assassinate. And some of those members were on the field that day when he was shooting. Yeah.
Do you think that the people there in Congress recognize in any way that, if Scalise had not had two armed guards there, this bloodshed would have gone a lot farther? And does that affect anyone's opinions on people being able to arm themselves, especially in the district?
I think most people know that without Crystal and David being there, the two Capitol Police that have been on Steve's detail since he became WIT, who I've personally gotten to know, and you won't meet two finer, more dedicated people anywhere in law enforcement in the country. And I'm so grateful that they were there. You know, Steve's friends, since he became WIP, we would kind of give him a little bit of a hard time saying, oh, Mr. Big Shot, you got bodyguards now. I guess we can't beat you up anymore. And that's all in good fun. But every one of us is just grateful to God that Crystal and David were there. And look, Crystal took a bullet in the foot, and from what I understand, she's the one that got the rounds off that killed the shooter.
Wow.
With regards to the way that Congress members are feeling about their own safety, a lot of them are talking about, hey, look, I've had some real rambunctious people at my town hall, and some of them seem pretty violent. You know, is Congress going to move toward having protected detail for every member? I don't think it's logistically possible.
No.
But I do hear a lot of Congress members talking about they're going to start carrying themselves and using force if they have to protect themselves. And I think that's a good idea.
But that's illegal in the district.
Yeah, well, I think that maybe they have to. I mean, Congress exempts themselves from the health care everybody else has to have. Why not exempt themselves from that law, too? I mean, they can kind of do what they want.
It'd be interesting to see if that happened. How is your friend doing? Have you actually spoken to anyone in his family? Have you been able to go see him? How's he doing?
I haven't talked to anyone in his immediate family because I've been trying to keep a respectful distance
Sure.
while they're going through this. Another member of our legislature who now occupies Steve's old House seat, Cameron Henry, is up in D.C., and I believe that he's visited with the family. You know, we got some really encouraging news, I'll call it, from the hospital today. They had a press conference, said that after his second surgery, they feel like they've gotten the internal bleeding under control. He's still critical, but improving, and they've seen a significant improvement. The doctor used the term imminent threat of death for when he first showed up at the hospital, and the doctor feels like that threat has been reduced greatly in the last 36 hours. So we're very happy for all the prayers and outreach from around the country and around the world, really. And we're hoping for the best for our friend. We're ready for him to get back to work.
I saw some interesting chatter today. One thing is, of course, I'm sure you saw, it sounds like the information was released that the shooter had written a list of congresspeople who were his targets on his body. I don't know that that name has been released yet, but that's chilling. Do you think, though, that this shooter was crazy, or do you think he is a natural byproduct of the sort of rhetoric that has been spread around by the left since the election?
Well, first, I did allude to that list earlier, Dr. Gina, and I know, if I remember correctly, Mo Brooks and Jeff Duncan were two of the names on it. There was one more name on there that I'm forgetting, but I think that Jeff Duncan and Mo Brooks were at the field that day. Now, with regards to this person, I mean, obviously, I'm not qualified to comment on someone's psychological sense or situation. Obviously, if you're going to pick up a gun and start shooting innocent people, there's something wrong with you. But look, we have to sit here and analyze at this point when something like this happens. There have been, you know, the fever pitch from the left has really gotten out of control. And I think I've seen media outlets report over 20 examples of elected officials, media members, Hollywood people, outright calling for violence against Republicans. And what it is that you just have a group of folks, meaning, and not all, I'm not trying to paint all the Democrats or liberals with a broad brush, but there's a lot of them that just simply cannot, no matter what, cannot accept the results of this election. They got to believe it's the Russians. They have to believe that the Republicans rigged it. And so that's why they're calling for these violent acts. You got the Kathy Griffin thing. You've got the Central Park Julius Caesar play. You got, Snoop Dogg, who I like personally, but, he had a video where he was, mimicking shooting President Trump. I mean, look, if anybody even disagreed with President Obama the 8 years he was president, they were called a racist. I mean, You're a racist. If you don't agree with Obama, you're a racist. That's it. But if you call for physical harm against the president of the United States, now that it's Trump, you're lauded up as a hero. And I think that we have to change that. And it's up to the media, and it's up to the elected leaders of the Democrat Party to try to tone down that rhetoric, because we both have crazies on each of our sides, but right now the scale's definitely tipped in their favor as being the higher level of crazy right now.
Seems so. Thank you so much for being with us. Thanks for what you're doing, Brian. That's really cool.